I'm going to explain first very quickly what Demica does. And afterwards, I would like to introduce you our supply chain finance platform and supplier onboarding tool. Right? So Demica is the market leader, independent, end-to-end working capital solutions. Right? Our objective is to simplify in an efficient way supply chain finance and trade receivables transaction. Right? We are a real fintech that we have a team that is a mix of financing specialists and technology and implementation specialists. So we don't do only technology for financial institutions, but we have a mix of both, right? I think we have a unique position, right? Because we cover the whole spectrum of working capital products, right? Who are our clients? Our clients are big multinationals with revenues of 100 million or more and with working capital facilities of 50 million or plus, right? Why is that? Because these kind of companies is the ones that appreciate more the added value we provide, right? As I was explaining before, our services are not only technology, but also advisory, structuring, and funding transactions. Okay, so we do 60 billion of receivables and payables per year. We have capital, we have our proprietary capital, but also agreements with over 35 banks and financial institutions. Our technology is also a great risk mitigation tool, right? So never had losses in our programs, right? And thanks to our innovative technology and flexibility, we're integrated with more than 240 systems. Demica has a lot of expertise, has already powered 280 programs since 2002. We say that we are a 15 years startup, right? Because we have also a lot of experience. We're global. We have transactions over 135 countries. It helps a lot. Our technology is in the cloud, so we can service any client in the world. And we can proudly say never lost a client, right? This is our management team. This is a very solid team with mixed experience between finance and technology. Our employees, again, are 50% financing professionals from corporate investment banks, mainly in Europe, and the other 50% are technology and implementation professionals, right? This basically is to show you that we cover the whole spectrum of working capital products. We cover both receivables and payables, right? In the receivables, we cover from the most simple invoice discounted transaction to the most complex multinational trade receivable securitization. And also on the payable side, in supply chain finance, we cover all the different types of supply chain finance transactions, right? Something that is very strong is that we are able to combine all of them, right? For example, we are able, supply chain finance, to do at the same time combine dynamic discounting funded by the corporate and supply chain finance fund by a bank. And we help the corporates on both, not only on working capital improvement, but we can help the companies to improve their P&L as well. Okay, we are always innovating, right? So in 2015, we launched our current supply chain finance platform, but we have been developing it all the time, right? So this year, we launched the supplier onboarding tool that is a powerful tool that I will show you afterwards. Also dynamic discounting that is allowed to the corporates to use the cash to make early payment to suppliers. We're launching this year the FX tool that I will explain afterwards. And as you see, we have a plan for the next 2-3 years to launch new functionalities such as purchase order finance or invoicing discount, right? We have over 6 billion of assets outstanding, right? As you can see, it's quite balanced, 50% between receivables and payables. And expectations of growth, given our pipeline, are quite good. So the market and opportunity is very big with current 100 billion of funding provided in this kind of programs. a little bit more mature in Europe, right, with 60% of the big companies having programs. And then here the opportunity is on getting the best platforms, the best products with the new functionalities, flexible, etc. But there is also a huge opportunity in the smaller companies and the SMEs, right, where the product penetration in an efficient way is quite important. And for example, digital supplier onboarding tool is crucial to achieve this, right? So in this, especially in this small group of group of smaller countries, is where we see the biggest opportunity, right? And we believe that could be circa of 8 trillions of market opportunities, right? So this is the benefits for corporates and banks. Basically, is like, I think we are better together, so we are not competing with banks, right? I think given that we are good and flexible at technology, and given banks are very good at client relationship, funding, etc., I think we are better together, and altogether we are a winning team, right? So I'm going to explain you now, I'm going to show you how the supply chain finance platform works, right? And the supplier onboarding tool. So the platform has 3 different interfaces for buyers, for suppliers, and for funders. Okay? I'm going to start with the buyer portal, right? So here the buyer can see which payments are outstanding and paid in to do, and also, right, the cash flows, the payments need to be done in the next 12 weeks, right? There is a split by currency, and there is also here the status between unapproved and approved invoice. Unapproved will include the purchase note, that is something quite new. Also, we cannot give a lot of information to the buyer because the auditor can question the commercial treatment of the transaction if the buyer is very involved in the program, right? So here is the supplier onboarding tool where the buyer can monitor the status of the onboarding of the suppliers, right? The total, the candidates, the approach, and also the ones that are in process, the different status, and there is a split by industry, by country, by supplier tier, etc. It's a quite useful tool. Right? Here you can see an individual split of which is the status of each supplier, right? And this is where the buyer uploads the invoice from their accounting system. It can be done 2 different ways, so through a file, but also through an integration between the platform and the ERP system of the client, and then it will be quite automatic, right? This is the most important part, right? The supplier part, right? Because supplier finance is a product, right? That if the supplier doesn't discount, doesn't request for the early payment, you have nothing, right? That's why it's the most relevant part. So there is a digital trip, right, through the platform. So the supplier will receive a letter, an invitation, an email, right, explaining that has been invited to the program, right? They will receive login details, right? This can be customized with a logo and a personal message for the buyer company that is invited them, right? A brief explanation about what it is, because some suppliers are not familiar, the benefits, all this can be customized, right? And also how this kind of program works. This is very important because these figures here are real, right? This is the real opportunity that the supplier have to discount. And this supplier is not already on board, but is already looking at the opportunity, right? This is a calculator about how beneficial is the supply chain finance program for him, comparing with doing nothing and with lending, right? All these parameters can be adjusted just to see the benefits. So, and this is the KYC. This is probably one of the most painful parts of the supply chain finance program. So to have a digital tool, right, with digital contracts, digital signature, etc., helps a lot, mainly to make more efficient the process, and also to increase penetration into the tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers. Right? So the client is going to complete their own KYC. There is the details here. There is the documents that they need to be upload, right? And here is the digital contract to have access to the platform and the supplier agreement for the assignment of the receivables to the founder, right? Okay. Once it's registered, the client can start using the platform, right? The interface is quite similar to the bio one, right? This is the quite important button, because if this is on green, that the most of the client has this in green, automatically all the invoice from this supplier are discounted. So let's say now the supplier want to discount. This is the available amount for payment, right? So first, you can select any payment date. It's not, okay, it not necessarily need to be tomorrow, but can be any date, right? So this is quite flexible. Can select the amount they want to discount, or can individual click the invoices it want to discount, right? This is one of the most powerful innovative tools. Is like the supplier can get the early payment in other currencies. So there is an FX tool embedded into the platform. The FX provider can be a bank, the treasury of the bank, but also an FX, another independent FX provider. Right? This is the status of the invoices of the supplier, right? And approved, sold, right? If you click in any of them, you can see it's perfectly traceable, the story. If there was a credit note, for example, it will be here as well, right? Also, you can go into the pricing details so that the supplier can see the price, the interest calculation, etc. Right? This is all the sales invoice sales report, and this is the funder portal, right? This is the view for the bank just to see how much is to be discounted, right? And all this approved is, and everything is available to the suppliers to discount, right? This is the supplier onboarding tool, right? For the bank onboarding team to monitor and to follow how the onboarding is going, right? Individual status of each of them, validation of the KYC documents that the supplier has uploaded, right? Here is the tracking of all the payments, just for the bank to see if the buyer is getting overdue, is paying well, etc. individually, right? This is to set up a new program, the data, the prices, bank account. You can have different prices per supplier, per tier, per industry, per country, etc. It's fully configurable, right? Here you have the utilization of the limits by the bank so that they can take commercial action. And just to finish, right, this all is completely configurable, can be branded to the bank, to the corporate with logos, color, distribution, etc.